Okay, so hands down, this is probably the most important chapter in all of One Piece, and I'm not exaggerating, it's not hype or nothing like that. This is probably the most important chapter of the entirety of the series, 957 chapters. It gotta be. It's definitely, arguably, one of the best chapters of the entirety of the series. Hands down, best chapter of One Piece this year. Like, there's no arguments from me regarding if this is best chapter of the year for One Piece. No arguments, because this chapter was too much, I'm not gonna lie. From Rocks, the Rocks Pirates, Whitebeard and Roger's Bounties, the history of Garp and Roger, another big revelation, so much with One Piece chapter 957, baby. I ain't gonna lie. Drop a like if you believe that this is the best chapter of One Piece of this entire year, and if you think that One Piece is really in the running for best manga of 2019, baby. Like, woo! It's time for some One Piece greatness! Yeah, let's talk about it, baby.
Whether Facebook, Twitter, or the two, make sure to steer clear, cause I'm coming through like...
Okay, so like I said, definitely this chapter of One Piece, it blew my mind. There was so much information with this one. Honestly, I was surprised, because One Piece, Oda usually gives us, increments of information. We get a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there. This chapter, he just gave us loads of, but it didn't feel like an information dump by any means. It didn't feel like, oh gosh, like what is all of this? Like, it was just, Oda decided, you know what? I'm just gonna blow everyone away with chapter 957, baby. So let's start off from the top. The beginning of the chapter, it starts off with a conversation between Sakazuki, Akainu, and Fujitora. And it's very, very interesting the way the conversation starts, because they're talking about the events from last week's chapter where, the revelation of the Shichibukai, aka Warlord system, has been dismantled. And like I said in my last review, very obvious that if anybody is going to be really, really excited, mine is Z, even though, R.I.P. the GOAT Z, and it's crazy. We even got a mention of a movie villain in this one. But anyway, Fujitora would be the one to be excited about this. This was one of the things that he revealed. I want to say, was it in Dressrosa, where he revealed that's one of his big goals is to get rid of this system. So to see that interaction, I was like, yeah, it's to be expected. But it's also kind of shocking for somebody that seemingly, despite being you know what I'm saying, what he did to Ace and the way he rolls, it was shocking to me that Akainu would be, if anything, more in support of keeping the Shichibukai system. I did not expect that. I mean, maybe it's been said before, but for me, I always felt like, well, he feels like almost he's prejudiced against pirates, like he just wants them all dead or something. So to see that, if anything, he was slightly in disagreement of it, and really is just going along with it because of the kings coming to this agreement, I was like, oh, okay. And also to see Fujitora like backing it and saying like, you're feeling that way because you weren't directly affected by them. And I don't remember if we got a full-blown backstory as to what is Fujitora's main gripe with this system, or or the previous system now, the warlords. But either way, you can see that definitely they impacted him greatly. I don't know, was it revealed that that's how he lost his eyesight, due to somebody that was a warlord? Either way, you could definitely see that he was traumatized by it, and that's why he wanted to dismantle it. Because if you go to, again, Film Z, his life was ratified by a Shichibukai, and then they allowed him, to run wild, the government. So it definitely would be a big contradiction, especially if you're rolling with this crew, the Marines and everything, for somebody that is doing evil to be kind of put in the same classification or the same footing to a certain degree as somebody that's, again, like working for the world government. And then he says we need to put our faith in the SSG. Now, forgive my ignorance if I'm mistaken, but I don't remember any mentions of this. But based on what it was said in the context and whatnot regarding it having something to do with the government using this science experiment, it was later on down the road in the chapter explained. I'm imagining Vegapunk had some big involvement with this, clearly, because Vegapunk would be the ultimate madman scientist. Also, this is probably using a lot of the materials that they built up and gathered from people like Kuma. Remember when they did the pacifistas? So this is probably even something more advanced than that. If the past defeats, which remember they got like kind of blown away, they wasn't that strong. Beginning of the time skip, Luffy was kind of going through them like butter. Whatever the SSG is, again, maybe it's been mentioned before, but this is going to be something huge, and this is probably going to be one of Vegapunk's ultimate experiments that the world government is using to their advantage. And it's kind of like a roll of dice, because right now they got to put their trust in it. They just lost a very large power with them getting rid of the warlord system. Now with all the threats coming about, they don't have as much muscle anymore to throw at things. Like, you know, when Marineford went down, they had the warlords to back them up. Now they don't got that. So this SSG, whatever this group is, or these things are, these people, they have to be very strong, clearly. They're not going to get rid of the warlord system without feeling somewhat confident of having some type of backup. So I'm really interested to see what's been cooked up and what these people are going to be. I mean, you saw what they did to Kuma after they got everything out of him. Now they got him. Oh god, I can't even think about that. Let's move on. And then Fujitora finds out that Big Mom and Kaido have reunited and they formed an alliance. And immediately this is where it starts to get real spicy. The spice starts coming in, baby, because that's when Fujitora gets scared and he's like, yo, don't tell me the rocks have returned. And right then and there, I'm like, okay, I'm imagining immediately when I read that. Because remember, we had heard that Big Mom and Kaido had a, you know, group. They were a part of a pirate alliance back in the day. That's the name of them. And of course, Akainu being in that, like, Akainu's personality just like, oh, I don't know how anybody deals with him. He's like, yo, be in reality right now, fam. Like, stop talking fantasies. We're in reality right now. This is a mess. Crazy. So it starts off right there, which this chapter was like, almost every page was just filled with just crazy bombshell content. Like, immediately, okay, the rocks, that was the name of Big Mom and Kaido's pirate group back in the day. Bam, let's go. And then we get to Sengoku talking to, basically, you know, in his role as like being a mentor and teaching the future generations of Marines about the Marines and stuff like that. He starts breaking down a lot of hidden history that the Marines, which I can't wait to find out what the Void Century is all about. Like, is this what we find out in this chapter anything to do with the Void Century, or that's just completely totally different? I mean, Void Century I think was way before all of this, because this was only from what I remember 38 years ago. So, but this just shows the government how they will cover up anything. I mean, look at Big News Morgan when they're threatening to kill him if he puts certain things out and he has to duff a dude down or whatever. Like, really nasty things have probably happened, and the government just was like, yeah, no one's gonna know about this one. Because many years ago on a pirate island called Beehive, a lot of pirates that were notable wanted fortune and fame, and they teamed up together, and that was the formation of the Rocks Pirates. With, oh man, I can't even believe this, bro. Like, what type of group? Like, that was probably the ultimate super alliance. Like, hands down, from everything that I can remember, every group, every alliance that has been formed in One Piece, I don't think there's not a single one that I can name that is even remotely close to as terrifying as Big Mom, Kaido, and Whitebeard on the same team. And you got to think for a second, like, these are monsters. Now granted, they have been said to, they've gotten stronger since then, so you can't completely say like they were at their peak back then and whatnot. But imagine how strong Rocks had to be if these people would serve under him and call him captain. Like, that's the most deadliest group ever. I mean, from the way they described it, they didn't care whether you were friend or foe. They would kill. And it really makes me wonder, like, wow, Whitebeard, maybe he was different back in the day, because the Whitebeard that I remember, Whitebeard was a lot more benevolent. Remember, one of his dreams was he just wanted a family, and who knows, maybe when he got with the Rocks, one of the reasons was because maybe he thought he was being a part of a family. Maybe he didn't realize, like, yo, it was gonna go south, and then eventually whatever ended up happening was why he dipped out from the group. Because, like, okay, I could see Big Mom being a part of any nasty thing. Like, Big Mom is a disgusting woman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, look what she does. Like, she's perfect, you know, perfect candidate for her, right? Kaido, another monster, right on. But Whitebeard, that just, I don't know, that shocks me as, or that strikes me very just like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Because you wouldn't expect him to be a part of one of the most notoriously evil, messed up groups of all time. So to hear that, and just to hear in general that powerhouse that we're together, oh my gosh. And then we also got mentions of a few other names. The Golden Lion, which if I'm not mistaken, isn't that Shiki? So it seems as though Shiki was also, and if you don't know who Shiki is, I believe that's from Strong World, the main villain of Strong World. that kind of threw me for a loop. Like, yo, they really trying to add a lot of things that were either movie villains or movie tie-ins as canonical to the series, because again, I think the Golden Lion was Shiki, but there was also other names that I really don't remember right now. Maybe they've been already mentioned, or maybe they're very obvious, but the names that we got were Silver Axe, Captain John, and Ochoku. And to be honest with you, it felt as though Oda was like having story time with the children and using Sengoku with the Marines as kind of like metaphoric of him sitting the children down, because then he's like, well, now I'm sure you're wondering why this has been downplayed, or I can't remember if they asked him or he said, but you know, why this information isn't common knowledge or whatnot, because obviously you would be like, wait a minute, so why the hell don't we know this? You know what I'm saying? That is something very, very huge to hear, that Whitebeard, Kaido, and Big Mom were a part of this group called the Rocks Pirates. That's something that, like, how did that kind of slide under the radar? And we find out that there was a multitude of reasons, one of which the fact that they just don't mess with each other. Like, after that, they were like, nah, that was just some small voyages, nothing big, you know, we just conquered, you know, we tried world conquest, not much. Because when I heard in this chapter that Captain Rocks wasn't trying to be king of the pirates, no, he wasn't just like, you know, Roger's goal and what Roger accomplished, king of the pirates. Captain Rocks wanted to be king of the world. And this is where I start to put into context this whole series, One Piece as a whole. Captain Rocks, and if he's still alive, which they say that he died, but you know, who knows what really happened. I mean, the whole freaking God Valley was wiped off the map, and we'll get to that in a bit. But Captain Rocks seems as though he was truly the most grandioso, messed up pirate in all of history. Now, if he wanted to be king of the world, why? Was it just a simple greed? And also, when we find out that he has a Will of D in his name, why was he so messed up and evil? Because it seems as though the Will of D people, they haven't been, like, to my knowledge, maybe I'm missing one, but Saul D. Jaguar wasn't evil or anything like that. Roger wasn't messed up. Law, Luffy, Dragon, Garp, like, usually they're benevolent people. So to hear that this dude Rocks was seemingly just disastrously bad person, what made him go down that road? Like, I feel as though there could be an entire spin-off One Piece manga about Roger's adventure. In fact, who knows? Maybe when One Piece ends, they're going to do a spin-off series, prequel, and kind of go through Roger's journey, because that would just be impeccable. In fact, maybe that's their long-term plan. Maybe that's why we got a chapter like this that feels as though, yo, we just jumped like a year and a half's worth of content in one chapter. Like, that's truly how I felt. Maybe they're gonna do a big One Piece prequel series after all this, and really, Oda's leaving all the breadcrumbs. All you gotta do is just kind of connect the dots and make it really exciting and have, you know, have it real interesting. So who knows, maybe this could be the next step once One Piece ends and Oda moves on. So then they say it was 38 years ago that in God's Valley, the island of God's Valley, that the Rocks Pirates perished. Seemingly, Captain Rocks was killed off, and that was the end of them, and they all, of course, went their own ways and whatnot. It's just like, yo, what the Oda just threw all of this, like, yo, this is tons of content, tons of things. Like, that right there could have been the end of a chapter type of deal alone, like a big cliffhanger, like, hey, the Rocks Pirates 38 years ago. That alone. But that was just in the midst of 10,000 other things he gave us, which really just shows how important, you know, with this one, that Garp really is. Like, Garp, he doesn't get enough credit, I feel. Like, yeah, they call him the hero of the Marines, and we find out that this is one more reason why. Like, I feel as though we've heard this at least 2 or 3 times. Like, this is why Garp is regarded as the big guy, you know, the hero of the Marines, this and that. But it was because he was the man that put a stop to the Rocks Pirates, which also makes it seem as though Garp is OP. Garp is very, very overpowered. Because at the end of the day, if he was able to take out, granted he had help, and we'll talk about that in a second, but he was able to take out Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom, Rocks, Shiki, and a bunch of other dudes. Like, Garp, I mean, Don Chinjao never had a chance, bro. He cracked the continent with his head. Garp cracked him in his mouth, bro, because Garp is an animal. Like, I don't even know what Garp is doing with the Marines, bro. And it made it even feel grander, the fact that they're like, yeah, this is one thing that Garp really doesn't like to talk about. He'll acknowledge it, but this is kind of one of his shames. And it shows even more why Roger would have trusted Garp. You know, if you think back now, looking back, how he kind of trusted him, and there was a lot of trust between the two of them. You would think like, yo, that's his biggest rival. That was one of his biggest adversaries. Why would he trust him? Well, apparently, Garp and Roger teamed up to take out the Rocks pirates. And that's one of the things that the government doesn't want nobody to know, and Garp doesn't want nobody to know because he's not proud of it. Now, immediately you gotta ask, okay, well, why would Garp, or why would Roger, I mean, Garp would do it because he needed a helping hand. Why would Roger help Garp protect the celestial dragons and their slaves? Like, he wants to live free. Only thing I could think of is this was the only way Roger could take out the Rocks pirates, or there was something that they just crossed the line and he had to stop them, and it was like, well, the celestial dragons are a bunch of pieces of garbage and they got slaves, but these guys are trying to, like, you know, destroy the world, so kind of gotta go with, you know, the lesser of two evils. Because other than that, I don't see Roger wanting to help out the celestial dragons. In fact, I loved hearing in this chapter that Garp, one of the reasons, which again, it feels as though not retconning, but it's just kind of an addendum to the many reasons why Garp didn't become an admiral. Because I remember one of the reasons they said before why he never wanted the admiral position is because then he would have to stay based. But this one added even more context, the fact that he doesn't want to be directly under the thumb of the celestial dragons. And in fact, they don't even like him. It seems as though Garp is really misplaced. I really would love to know what was the reason why Garp decided to roll with the Marines. Was it that he signed up for it before he really knew his history, and then once he was in, it was like, well, I'm already in here? Or maybe Garp started off really trying to make a change within, you know, infiltrate the system, and then he just kind of stood content because he realized there's nothing he could do. What was the reason why Garp opposed to his son, his grandson, most of the people with the Will of D? Why would he continue in the Marines despite all the corruption, despite everything? Was it just he felt as though at the very least I could be in there in the inside and try and control things so that they don't get too out of hand? And I ain't gonna lie, I just wish we could see that. A whole movie would be incredible of what went down on God Valley with the Rocks pirates, Roger, Garp. Oh my gosh, like, this chapter, bro. Oda, what are you doing to me? And they described this incident and named it the God Valley incident, which incident is a little bit of an understatement. Like, I mean, you could argue, because I want to put on my critic hat for a second, which is not really a critique, but I could see some people coming with this argument that, well, this is a lot of information for, like, you know, us to not know. But I think it was perfect that we don't know, simply because, like, Garp doesn't want nobody to know, and the government, they cover up many things, you know what I'm saying? Not unlike our own. They covered up a whole century. You think they ain't gonna cover up something about some corrupt pirates that were trying to rule the world, and one of the main marine big shots had to team up with another pirate that would later become the king of pirates? They don't want nobody to know that, so we wasn't gonna know that. And that after the Battle of God Valley was wiped off the map completely. So I'm wondering, was it the impact of the battle, a la something along the lines of like Aokiji versus Akainu that, you know, transformed Punk Hazard into the island it became? Was it that the impact from Garp punching Shiki or punching Whitebeard or punching Big Mom in the face so hard that things just really went disarray? Or was it the world government that they were like, nobody can know about what went down here? And oh my gosh, just so much. I'm curious when they said that Rocks, on his conquest, he indulged in many of the taboo things of this world. Like, was it like really just messed up things? It's like, because again, if he's a person of the Will of D, it's just hard for me to really, and again, maybe I'm missing somebody that was just really corrupt and messed up that had the Will of D in their name, but like, he was committing a lot of taboo acts, whatever. So was he just like, you know, on some pillaging and all of that craziness, like that type of deal? Or was it the government that they kind of threw in a story and tricked Garp into going into this battle because he was probably going to change the world if he was on global conquest? What changed from Roger going into that and then eventually Roger deciding to become king of the pirates? Was it that battle, and was it going up against Rocks and knowing his ambition that made him say, yeah, I ain't gonna do king of the world, I'll settle for the king of the pirates? And it said that Rocks was Roger's first and most formidable opponent. And I'll be honest with you, now I feel as though despite the fact that he didn't complete his conquest, you could argue that Rocks had, I don't know, I feel as though people are gonna disagree, but I gotta throw it in there. Rocks had somewhat of a larger grand scale impact than even Roger. because if you think about it, he was going for king of the world. You know, a whole island, God Valley, got wiped off the planet. It started off in Beehive, you know, the pirate island. He had some of the most notable pirates in the world's history that later become emperors underneath him, and it took a world government official teaming up with a pirate to take him down. And that also makes me wonder, what was Roger on? How was Roger, like, yo, I know Garp is strong, and I know Roger was said to be strong, but how the hell do you take out these monsters? Unless they use like some trickery or something, like they tricked them or something, because it's just, they were good, but they're not that damn good. We even find out Rox's real name, Rox B. Xebec, which again, Will of D, which makes me question a lot of what they said about him. Like, was he really this bad if he was a Will of D participant? Also, was he like one of the first people to show up with that name? I mean, Roger was already at that point, which makes me wonder how old Roger was. If this was 38 years ago, how many years ago was it that Roger was killed? I'm curious, where was Roger at in his pirate career at that particular point, if he was going up against all of these big dogs? I mean, at the same time, he eventually had to fight Whitebeard on his own, so he probably was a lot even younger than when he became, you know, this global, crazy, well-known pirate. For all we know, this could have been the fight that put Roger on the map. And was it just me, or when we saw the silhouette of what Rox looks like, which, to be honest with you, Rox now seems like one of the biggest, only mysteries left regarding characters, minus like maybe a Vegapunk and a couple other little oddities to know of regarding a bounty and regarding who he was and or who he, you know, what he really looked like, because we see a silhouette and he looks, to be honest with you, like a mixture of the original drawing that we got of, I think it was Kaido, mixed with kind of like a Caesar clown. Like, he looked really menacing. Like, who knows, maybe Rox eventually became Caesar clown. That'd be terrible. Like, no, don't disgrace somebody. Like, right now, my expectations for who Rox is, or what Rox was and what he stood for and what he was really trying to accomplish is through the roof. Like, I'm putting him to a point where he could potentially be even more important to the story than the man himself, the king of the pirates, Gold D. Roger, because he was his first big adversary, and it took Garp and Roger to take him down, and he had some of the world's strongest and greatest pirates to ever be known underneath him. So Rox right now got my respect. Please don't let him be Caesar Clown. That'd be terrible. But again, to be fair, the pirates, or where they were back then, Whitebeard and them, they weren't at their prime. This is 38 years ago. They were a lot weaker. It's even said that, like, now they're a lot more stronger. Like, Kaido probably was nothing, because, you know, they said, what, he was an apprentice at this particular point. So Kaido was probably not nowhere close to the monster he is now. So you got to take that into account. Maybe they weren't as fierce back then, but they were still, like, you know, crazy murderers and killers. Like, I need this One Piece spinoff ASAP. Like, this One Piece special could be going for years. And so with the bounties, Blackbeard first up, baby. Like, I didn't even expect, like, everything we got up until this point that I just talked about is enough. We could cut it off, chapter over. Okay, we got the information, but it didn't stop there. Oda was like, nah, we're gonna keep on going. I'm gonna give you more. I'm gonna drop bombshells and make this, you know, most important chapter of One Piece in history. You know, why not? So we start off with Blackbeard's bounty at 2,247,600,000. Okay, that's pretty freaking insane. I ain't gonna lie. Like, it's the weakest out of all of them, which, granted, he was the last one to become an emperor or whatnot, but that bounty is freaking insane. I mean, I can't believe we found out, really, with this chapter, the pinnacle of bounties. Like, now bounties, unless it surpasses Roger's or whatever Rox's bounty may be, which I'm still gonna assume if Rox was this nasty of a dude, Rox may have had a bigger bounty than Roger. You know what I'm saying? And like, oh, Rox. I'm so excited about Rox. And then we got Shanks's bounty, which is said that he became an emperor only about 6 years ago. So about what, 4 years before One Piece started, because we had 2 years, 3 days of a time skip, and One Piece, the whole journey lasted less than a year for part 1. So about like 3 or 4 years before the beginning of the series started, but well after, you know, he left Luffy as a child, is when Shanks was officially known as an emperor, and his bounty was almost double what Blackbeard's is. 4,048,900,000 as his bounty. And I'm wondering, what the hell did he do? Like, there's so many untold stories. Like, how did Shanks get that type of bounty? Like, we know Blackbeard impelled down Whitebeard betraying the government after being appointed as a Shichibukai. What the hell did Shanks do to get that high? Or is it just his power and influence and what he's capable of? Then Big Mom's, which is even bigger than Shanks's at 4,388,000,000. Not really much to say about Big Mom other than, yeah, you expect it to be that high. I'm not that surprised either that it's higher than Shanks's, simply because Big Mom is a lot more nasty and dastardly than Shanks. Like, Big Mom is a criminal, a crook, a murderer. Shanks is more so just like, you know, like a Luffy, like not a real bad pirate. He's strong. And then Kaido with 4,611,100,000, I think it was, or yeah, 4,611,100,000. And again, it describes that when he was with the Rocks Pirates, he was only an apprentice. So I'm wondering what his power was like back then. Was he this immortal monster even back then? And again, if he was a lot weaker, was he the weakest on his crew back then? It seems as though now he's the most wanted out of all of them. Like right now, if I'm not mistaken, Kaido is the highest bounty alive, if I'm not mistaken. Again, like, because Whitebeard's dead, Roger's dead, Rocks is seemingly dead, which again, we don't even know what Rocks' bounty was, but that's the highest living bounty at the moment. And then of course coming in second is Big Mom. So again, when they say things like, yeah, this alliance would be the most deadliest, yeah, the two strongest pirates with the two highest bounties in the world, kind of gotta fear them. And again, this is where Sengoku chimes in and says, yo, knowing what we know now, that, you know, Kaido and Big Mom are working together, and we really got our hands full, you know what I'm saying, that the SSG is their best potential weapon to fight against them, and that's the special science force with the SSG, which again, I think that these are probably some of Vegapunk's best creations, maybe using what he learned from like Kuma, turning him into you know, all the pacifistas and stuff like that, but maybe it's just like 10 times worse, or who knows, maybe there's something to do with Rocks. Maybe that's why they put these things in the same chapter. Maybe whatever they knew about Rocks, they recreated him into like a bajillion pirates or a bajillion special task force monsters to fight off pirates. And then this is where Oda said, yeah, I'm not done yet. I'm not, like, you know, I could have stopped there, but why? I'm gonna give you guys even more, because we find out Whitebeard's bounty was 5,046,000,000, and Roger's bounty was 5,564,800,000. So the highest known bounty in the entirety of One Piece was 5,564,000,000. So right now, until Luffy surpasses that, that's the end goal. So I think as the series goes on from here on out, probably bounties aren't really going to be that important, because now we 100% know what the pinnacle is. So until we start reaching those numbers, surpassing Blackbeard's 2 billion and you know, Shanks is 4 billion and all of that stuff, I don't think they're gonna have much significance from here on out. But this chapter just like, woo! And I don't know what the hell like is wrong with Akainu, that there's some secrets about Wano that the government don't want to mess with, because Akainu continues to say, yeah, we don't got the resources to mess with Wano, because, well, it's already that Wano is cut off completely from all of civilization, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're their own thing. They don't know shit about the outside don't know shit about the inside. But the way Akainu rolls is like, he is scared to try and infiltrate. I don't know if he's scared of Kaido. I don't know if he's scared of Kaido and Orochi's alliance. I don't know if there's some secrets about Wano. Maybe Wano is the recreation of God Valley or something. Like, what is the big deal that Akainu is constantly ducking and dodging the fade, you know, at Wano? And this is where it starts making things that are actually going on Wano very relevant and very important, because this is where Sengoku says, hey, wasn't that pirate that everybody was fond of, you know, the big shots were fond of him, Shanks, Whitebeard, Roger, what was his name? Odin. Yeah, Odin, aka Oda, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna just say it was Oda. But to find out that, because I don't remember if we knew that he was on Whitebeard's ship. He was originally rolling with Whitebeard. Well, he wasn't originally, but like, I think the first pirates that he messed with was Whitebeard, and then he, for the final voyage, went with Roger. So what is this big mystery? Honestly, like, this is where I was like totally at a loss and not confused, but just like flabbergasted that like Oda gave us all this information and I still got more questions, a lot of questions, because Sengoku starts hinting at something that feels like it should be so obvious, but I really am still like, what's going on here? Because he says like, isn't it strange? It can't be just a coincidence that all of these big shots have a link at Wano. Does Akainu know something? Do both of them know something that we don't regarding Wano? Is Odin still alive there? I mean, if a lot of people got pushed to 20 years in the future, what's going on here? Could Odin possibly be Rocks? Like, I know I'm gonna stop talking about Rocks now. Like, I am too hype about that character. I'm sorry. Like, right now, one of my most anticipated things, aside from the end game of like the One Piece and Luffy becoming Pirate King, is Rocks. Will Rocks be one of the last people that we see? Because he's one of the last mysteries that we have as far as people. Like, that's it. Like, we already know Roger's bounty, Whitebeard's bounty. We already know about the Rocks pirates. We already know a lot about this series. Now we just got Rocks in the wing. And there you have it, folks. My longest One Piece review in history, I believe. And the greatest chapter of One Piece, I think, in the entirety of the series. Definitely the best chapter of One Piece this whole year. And probably one of the best chapters of manga this whole year. It's a tie between this and Attack on Titan for me. I don't really know. I have to really dig deep between both of them, but it was phenomenal. Everything about the chapter was incredible. I don't know why Oda decided to bless us with all of this, but I ain't complaining one bit. If he took next week off, I wouldn't even be mad because this chapter was so good. Thankfully, I don't think we have a break, but I'm curious what you guys think about this chapter. What was the bounty that shocked you the most? What do you think happened to God Valley? Was it the world government that blew it off the map? The Gorosei said, they gotta go. What happened to God Valley? What happened to Rocks? Could Rocks still be alive? What do you think Rocks' bounty is? Why did Roger join in on the fight against the Rocks pirates alongside Garp? Was it just for his own selfish ambition? Was it that he didn't agree with what Rocks was trying to do? Why was Rocks trying to become king of the world, not just even pirates? Did that inspire Roger to only become king of the pirates, or want to become king of the pirates because of what happened with Rocks? And if Rocks is somebody of the will of D, could he really be that nasty and terrible of a person that he was committing all these acts of taboo? Also, what's the SSG? There's just so many questions, but at the same time, we got so many answers. Like, more answers, more questions, but best chapter One Piece, probably the entirety of the series. Do you guys think it was? Let me know. Let me know, baby. This was amazing. But that is all I have for this one, though. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this long edition of One Piece with ForneverWorld. If you liked anything I had to say, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell and make sure you hit all notifications so we find out anything about Rocks or anything else about Roger or anything, I'm gonna inform you. You know they're gonna give us that One Piece spinoff. There's no way they're not gonna do it. It's similar to how Magi had a Sinbad spinoff and we get those, you know we're getting it. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links of course in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day and remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day, peace in, and shout out to Goda for this chapter of One Piece greatness. 957, baby. Best chapter, probably the entire series. Have an awesome one.
Enjoy the next ride, but I was the best ride. But I hope you know that wherever you go and whoever you meet,